Gautama Siddhartha's mother gave birth to him. I had a strange dream. In a dream, a six-toothed white elephant fell from the sky. Put a pink lotus flower into his body with his nose. Then go in yourself. King of Sakyamuni, that is, the father of Siddhartha, the king of the offender, summoned the history of Tao in the city to interpret the queen's dream. Those people said, the queen will give birth to a great leader. Later, Mo and Queen Mo Yi were in the Blue Pear Garden. A baby boy was born. King Fan was extremely happy, named his son Siddhartha. I think I have achieved great wisdom. He also invited many magicians to see Siddhartha's face. Almost everyone agrees. Siddhartha will become a capable monarch who blazes new ground. Only one old master came to the conclusion. Siddhartha will not enter politics and will become a great teacher in the monastery. The king of golden rice is flustered. He wanted Siddhartha to inherit the throne. Finally, comfort yourself. What the master said may not be right. The devil and the queen of the devil died 8 days after giving birth. His sister, the devil, and the wave snake, Pati, becomes the new queen. The new queen treated Siddhartha as her own, take good care of. In learning, Siddhartha is talented and intelligent, the most outstanding of the students. At the age of 9, he participates in the annual spring plowing ceremony. It was a very grand and lively ceremony. The king and queen attended in person. At the end of the ceremony, there will be Brahmins singing Veda. After chanting, the farmer began to plow the fields. Blazing sun. Siddhartha saw the farmer sweating profusely. Birds eat insects wriggling in the soil. Then he was caught by the claws of the giant bird. Law of the jungle. How terrifying. Siddhartha leaves the crowd. He sat cross-legged under a salt lake tree, gradually forget everything around. When King Jinfan and the queen found Siddhartha, all were shocked by his solemn sitting posture. I am very worried that the prophecy of the master will come true. As Siddhartha becomes a teenager, I'm getting better at school. He began to study the philosophy of religion. Familiar with Phaedo, he began to know. People at that time believed that the universe is a master named most of the day, created for castes of humans for most of the day. The highest caste Brahmins are born from his mouth. This caste of people are technicians. Or familiarize yourself with the classrooms of Fei Tuo and others. Sati Li, born from the hands of most of the day. They were high-ranking military and political figures. Born from the legs of most of the day, engaged in agriculture, with industry and commerce, and other occupations. Born from feet for most of the day, live by labor. There's the untouchables. They don't even have a class. They pick up trash, cleaning, fertilization, etc. They can't interact with people of all sexes. Otherwise you will be beaten. Siddhartha in his spare time. Sometimes I would wander around the nearby villages. He learned that the Brahmin's oppression of the underclass goes deep, can only be presided over by Brahmin. Because of various etiquette, poor people have to pay these people, such as money, food, or coolie. One day, Siddhartha saw a family. Because I can't pay, the male host was forced to work as a laborer for Brahmins. Exhausted, Siddhartha's privilege over Brahmins and so-called divine power, he enjoyed communicating with monks and hermits. Because these people and Brahmins seeking power are different, they deliberately give up everything in the world in order to be free. But the king of close companions is increasingly worried about this. He decided to find Siddhartha a wife. For this, the queen arranged various singing and dancing parties for young people. At a martial arts competition, Siddhartha wins the championship in one fell swoop. And I got to know Julik Ku, the Princess Jesus Gyro. One day, Siddhartha and his minions travel outside the city. Passing through a poor village, Siddhartha saw Princess Ashudra and her bound, taking care of children with diseases. They wash the affected areas for children, and dispensing medicine and doing laundry. After learning that Jesus had been doing this for 2 years, Siddhartha was deeply moved. Jesus Gyro read Feather like Siddhartha, also dissatisfied with social injustice. I also feel that I am not happy when I am born rich, also hates power struggles. The two seemed destined to walk together. Siddhartha married Jesus at the age of 19. After marriage, the couple was deeply involved in the lives of the people at the bottom. Sometimes they eat and live with the villagers. They have seen families with 8 or 9 children. Every child catches a stubborn disease. Parents working day and night still cannot meet demand. They have seen skinny children bloating due to worms or malnutrition. They have seen a group of disabled people were begging in the street. They had seen The poor and sick were oppressed by Brahmins, but nowhere. Siddhartha knew very well. Every official only sees power and profit. They don't care about the people. They are busy fighting each other and wreckage. Officials are greedy and corrupt. Even if it is his own father, the king of aggression, there's nothing we can do about it, because he needs these people to keep the country running. Hidalgo understands. Even after his own succession, it's not going to change that. People's inner greed and jealousy, that's where it ends. So Hidalgo made up his mind to find a way out. Direct. The wife Jesus Dara understood Siddhartha's thoughts. He also believed in and supported him. However, he believes that this will not happen overnight. What to do now? Still have to do. So he went with Siddhartha. That's going to keep feeding the underprivileged. Medicine, material and human assistance such as cloth and leather. Although West mostly knows the value of doing these things, but he understood, except for disease and poverty, people are still bound by their own heart. If one day Jesus is also feared, negative emotions such as anger and disappointment are entangled, will he still have the energy to continue his work? Hidalgo thinks the most important thing is to free the heart. Therefore, at the suggestion of Hidalgo, the couple often sit and meditate together. One day, Jesus was overcome with grief. The child he cared for 10 days passed away, only 4 years old, and he started crying. Hidalgo comforted him. Birth, old age, illness and death are experienced by everyone. But Jesus' heart was still in pain, full of confusion and sadness. Hidalgo's determination to find the road is even stronger. Later, Hidalgo had children of his own. The day the wife gave birth, he was distraught. He remembered that his mother had died in childbirth. Thinking about the future of children, emotions are getting more and more tense. He tried on his clothes. Steady your emotions. Finally, with a baby cry, Siddhartha breathed a sigh of relief. Mother and child are safe. Siddhartha named his son Luo and Luo. He holds his son in his hands. Suddenly I remembered the child who passed away. He attended the funeral. I saw children being cremated. Parents and siblings of children grieve, crying. It couldn't get out of his mind. A spring day, Siddhartha with his wife and children and Pukong ride a carriage in the suburbs. They came to a riverbank, blocked in the way by a man lying on the ground. The man's body is completely bent. He was shaking. Pukong told Hidalgo, "This person has an incurable disease." Hidalgo took the man's hands. "This person in front of me is about his age." Then there were cries and chanting on the other side. Another family at a giant funeral. Hidalgo came to his senses. The man in front of him has no signs of life. Hidalgo suddenly felt a sense of disillusionment. Life is impermanent. Sickness and death are always unexpected. And the next day, Siddhartha ignored his father's every persuasion, decided to become a monk in search of enlightenment. Duracell is heartbroken. He's going to find a way to keep Hidalgo. He ordered a party, let Hidalgo's friends join him, and invited the best dance company in town to perform. But Hidalgo has made up his mind. It was a full moon in August. After the party, Siddhartha returned to the room. The wife and children seemed to be asleep. On the chair are the clothes he needs to travel. Hidharakavi barrier. And I saw Jesus with his eyes closed. He wanted to say goodbye to him, but in the end he didn't. He didn't want them to feel bad. Hidalgo came to the stable. Jesus' top has already made Pusong wait again. Take advantage of the moonlight. The two drove out of the city. One last look behind the capital. Siddhartha galloped south at full speed. After dawn they had reached the border of the aristocratic country. Come to a forest. Hidalgo slashed his sword and cut off his hair. Then the hair, give the short piece and the gem necklace on his body to Pukongong. Let him take him back to the palace. Hidalgo asked Pusong to tell his family, "You are not selfish or shirking your responsibilities, but to find the way for all beings." Ask them to believe him. After parting with Pusong, Hidalgo meets a hunter in a row. He exchanged his clothes with the other party. Then he sat down under a tree. This is the first time he has taken a ride since he became a monk. He felt absolutely at ease. In search of the road, over the next 5 years, Hidalgo respectively studied with two of the most famous masters. The first is Master Roro. Soon attained the highest state he could teach, and the state of meditation everywhere. Everything is created by the heart, nothing outside the heart. But Hida thinks this is not the escape he was looking for. So he went to another master, study at the Udo family. Soon, he also reached the highest level that he could teach. That is, the realm of flying Zen top. If you say, there's nothingness, and there's wanting and not wanting, so fly. There's no thinking and no thinking, but Hidalgo understood that there was still no escape. Life and death. There is no master left to hand over to Hidalgo. More stuff. Hidalgo knew he had to figure it out on his own. He came to a cave and sat down. He decided to stay here until you realize the road. He summed up the rest experience of the previous 5 years. He thought if he could heal the body, is it possible to achieve liberation by controlling it? So he went into penance. He immersed himself in a terrifying wilderness. Sit still all night. Any disturbance makes him mentally and physically nervous. But he was still motionless, trying to overcome this tension and fear. Siddhartha practiced until the 4th month. 5 people joined him. They all studied at the Masters of Yoga, also seeking the road. As time goes by, 6 people become yellow-faced and thin. They left the mountain. He returned to the nearby village for penance. Hidalgo began not to bathe, rarely eat, occasionally eat some dried pomegranates on the ground, or dried buffalo dung. Skinny, he hasn't cut his hair for 6 months. You scratch your head, you scratch off a lock of hair. One day, Siddhartha suddenly woke up at the Zen seat in the cemetery. He realized that penance is not the right path. The sun goes down, a breeze blows. Siddhartha felt at ease. He realized that body and mind are one. To abuse the body is to abuse the mind. No matter where. Still don't want to. Sadness or sadness. It's all about escaping from physical and mental feelings. He decided to come back to himself. Hidalgo's clothes are in tatters. He found a piece of cloth from a dead body. Then go to the river to take a bath. He packed himself up and went to the village to beg for food. But he was exhausted halfway through. Passed out on the ground. A 13-year-old girl named Rise just came to worship with food. The mountain god saw Siddhartha fall to the ground, then wake it up with goat's milk. The days that follow, Siddhartha returned to a normal life. He would beg for food, will bathe in the river. The ascent will also bring food to see him. He no longer tried to avoid his feelings. Instead, looked carefully at the life of feelings and thoughts. But those 5 fellow practitioners, but gave up on Siddhartha halfway, feel ashamed. They left him and went elsewhere to practice. And Siddhartha concentrates on the avenue. He knows, I will soon open the door to enlightenment. Hidalgo used to sit under a green pineapple tree. He carefully observed his body. He sees every cell in himself. Every feeling is experiencing birth, existence, and death. There is no such thing as an immutable, independent entity. He discovered his own thoughts. Interact with your body and your feelings. Mutual influence. The babola tree is also swaying. Siddhartha looked up at them deeply. The existence of a leaf requires sunlight, rain, soil, space, and mind. So, the whole universe is hidden in it. Has the leaf been born? No. He's been around for a long time. A white cloud meets the cold wind and turns into rain. Is Bayan dead? No, he's just become something else. Since leaves and clouds are like this, so did that person. Everything is like this. Everything is empty. No life, no death. Siddhartha saw beings living within themselves. All beings in themselves. He saw the rise and fall of countless worlds, and the life and death that all beings experience. But these are not stone statues, like waves in the ocean. But his statues are still sea water. The sea has no life and death, and so it is with all beings. To exist, there must be impermanence and selflessness. There is no impermanence and no self. The world would not have changed and developed. Siddhartha realized that all beings are blinded by wrong ideas, believe that things are paid for. There are individuals. They don't understand that everything is the same, thus falling into an endless sea of misery, fear, anger, hate, arrogance, jealousy, and greed, all because of anonymity. So to be free from pain, to destroy nameless, so because meteors observe every moment of life, to understand the effectiveness of things. After understanding, compassion and love come naturally. Siddhartha was at peace. He got it. He can hear the cries of all beings, understand the thoughts of all beings, feel the joy and sorrow of all beings. At this time, 3 updates have passed. The moon and stars are rare. Dardo gazed at the sky, and there was compassion. He has decided to spend his life spreading the word, help all beings escape from the sea of suffering. Later, Siddhartha Gautama was called the Awakened, the Buddha. Call that pineapple tree the tree of awakening, and the linden tree